everyone. Welcome to the best podcast, Don't Be Afraid podcast. I am your host, Jamila Aiza Muhammad Jamiu, and I have with me here Zoro,
Hi guys.
the bad guy, and I also have with me David Nkanta. Hi, David.
Hi,
Welcome to have you. Fancy having you here.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. My name is Jamila.
Okay, Jen.
David is an educator, he's a tech writer, and he's also an artist. That's an interesting bio that you have, David. Very, very interesting. And I've loved that you sing for us, but I mean, sorry, what kind of artist are you?
I create realistic work content.
Okay. Sorry, my mind kind of flew to music. I don't know why that is.
Uh,
But okay, thank you for joining us. And like we have a culture where we ask a certain just light question before we start, and I have one for you. What's the most unexpected thing on your bucket list?
the most unexpected thing on my bucket list. Wow. Okay. You mean what people wouldn't expect me to do?
Any
So
anything at all?
typically, if there's anything that you really want to do, that is really unexpected and is out of this world,
Yeah,
outlandish.
exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's to create an invention. To create an invention. Something that plays around. More like a way to make the world faster, to make transportation faster. Yeah, I like to call it, but
That's
yeah,
something.
I mean that's one of them.
That's great.
Yeah. One of them. How many do you have?
No, it's a black hole. You don't want to know.
Oh my god. Why do I feel like I want to? Well, if you say I don't want to know, I don't want to know. Okay, that's fine. Zoro, what's yours?
Um, I like his. I think his is really cool. Mine
Mm,
is more experiential.
okay.
So I think I'm caught between bungee jumping or being in a glass cage with the great white shark. Yeah,
Zoro.
it's a bucket list.
Yeah, I know, but glass,
Yeah,
great white shark.
it's safe and I can relive. I could have a meaningful conversation with the shark.
Converse.
Just catch cruise.
Wow, that's okay. All right, thank you. It's wow. Okay, so let's go right into today's topic, today's episode. So we're talking internet safety blind spots and protecting kids from online predators. We have seen series of cases where there's a child molestation, child pornography, lots and lots of cases like that. And I would say I'm wondering what exactly are these tactics that people use to target children? I mean, aside we all know that kids are naive, they're like so playful. What tactics do people use to get them to target them?
People like to play mind games with kids. It's more about psychology for most of these people, regardless of their age and the uh, whatever social media network that they choose to use to play mind games on kids. And it's more about playing their confidence level. I see most of these kids being those who are suffering from confidence issues, having low self-esteem. And so it's more about trying to appreciate their garb, appreciate their beauty, and help them to see that there's someone out there who feels they're attractive. So things like this actually pull kids into the snare. Kids who feel like they are not good enough, who feel like they aren't kind of yet. And this is just one basic way that these bad guys try to exploit.
That's where the world is, unfortunately.
Mm.
The whole world now is literally in the palm of your hand, right?
Yeah.
But my first thing is, where are kids on the internet?
Mm.
I
Mm.
have,
Good
I have
question,
a, I have
actually.
a mentor, that has two kids. I don't have kids, so
But you'd
I
have
need
one
most
someday.
definitely, most definitely. The one thing that he has made me understand is children are like a sponge. Okay, very highly impressionable, and it's not just about predators. Cyberbullying is also a form of predating,
Mm-hmm.
right? One thing that he expressly told me is, look, if you can take away the control of these kids on the internet, at least to the point where they can start forming opinions for themselves, right? What you have now is someone that stays more in the real world majority of the time and then spends a little bit more time
Online.
offline. You gain a lot of, because at this point now, once my boy or my daughter is at a certain age, I need to start having a talk with them, right?
Yeah.
We have technology now where if you if you're data enabled, your phone, someone can hack into your phone and know what you look like. If you have a smart TV that is data enabled and you don't have security features on yourself, you can someone across the world is looking at you,
Mm.
right? So if you don't start initially from very early age to start to limit, the access, at least not social media, sites where you can interact with different types of people, but minimize the amount of time they spend on social media. I don't know. I think that may be a step towards
Yeah, it
curbing
steps towards it.
how many kids get interacted to by these predators, because we don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
It could be the person next door, it could be the mailman, it could be the person that takes out your trash, it could even be your driver,
Yeah.
that is forming, this
100%
unhealthy
agree.
relationships with kids.
With
And
kids,
they are
yes.
very, I mean, I still saw a video yesterday of a little kid that they put an apple in front of him and $10,000 and asked him what he wanted. And he
He went for
immediately
the
went for the
money.
apple.
You went for the apple? I
And are
thought
you
he would go for
sure?
the money.
This is $10,000. You can buy a basket. Boy, it's like, this is what I want. Right? So it's immediate gratification. You know, they need our help. They
Hmm.
need our help a lot. And I'm not even going to go into the fact that there's so much child trafficking out there. I don't
Yeah.
think the word has come out enough on the amount of children that are missing globally. Right? It's a very big industry. If you care to read about it, you would know.
Yeah.
Children are getting abducted, sexually assaulted. I mean, there's child pornography.
Yes.
There's so many things out there right now. And from the words of one of the people that looked at social media as not as a good thing, he said social media is the weapon for mass destruction. If you give kids that amount of power in their hand at an
They would
early age,
misuse
they will
it.
misuse it. So I think, first of all, they say the community, it's the community that helps to raise a child,
Children, yeah.
right? It's not just your
Not just one
parents.
person.
I've taken the 2 cents on what my mentor and some of my other friends, different things that they are putting in place to ensure that their daughters, especially, are protected. Yeah. One thing is, look, from Monday to Friday, you have school anyway.
Yeah.
Don't touch your school. Don't touch your phone until the weekend. And on the weekend, it's your job, at least, to get to a point where they can start to make critical, keyword being critical decisions for themselves. Be that gatekeeper. Get to know who the friends are. Get to know who they're following on social media. Get to know the kind of content that they are taking, because with every generation they get smarter and smarter.
Yes.
Right? It's not just about saying okay, they go into the porn is free. But what's the security feature there? You need to be 18 and above. And if I click it, okay, I'm 18 and above. So
yes.
my opinion anyway is, look, these guys are the future, key to the future, and we need to protect them really early.
Really?
It's okay.
With regards to you mentioned that as every generation comes, kids are getting smarter and smarter. And I just like to cite an example from my own life. So my parents are not like in the country, they're abroad, and like the mommy of the house at the moment. So my siblings already have a phone where they used to speak to my mom or speak to their classmates or just play games and all of that. And there's a time I know that I would always see their status. They always see my own status. And one day I like to go through their phone. So I know who is this person chatting with. I may not immediately attack you because I feel like if I attack you, you won't be comfortable to tell me things. But I just like to have that information to myself that okay, this person is having this conversation with my sister or my brother. And then I noticed that these people blocked me from viewing their status. And I'm like,
I didn't even know that was a thing till 4 months ago.
no
I'm
way.
telling you.
That people could block people.
I didn't know.
And I'm like, who blocks me? Why do people block me? I said, I think I tried to manipulate. I said, so people are blocking me from being your sister. Be okay, oh, no problem. And then no, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I said, okay, no wahala now. Then one of them particularly now took the phone and then she unblocked. And they're like, if you don't know how to unblock, if you don't know how to block, how did you unblock me from viewing the status? And then there was one issue where one of our classmates was calling her and I'm like, why is this person calling you by this time? Okay, so that there won't be issue. If you want to chat to any of your classmates, put their phone number on my phone. So that I would know what exactly is going on. Evidence to be in my eye like this. I'll be looking at it so that they will not say, as our parents are not at home, you are the next in line. How did this happen under your nose? So, and that brings me to the question of how can parents effectively monitor, how can even as adults, because I feel like as some parents we have nieces and nephews. If your parents are not, if they bring their kids to your house, you're the next in line to take care of them. How can you monitor their activity online without invading their privacy?
The one question that I would like to ask David is, what's the borderline, right?
Exactly. How
Between
do you strike a
curiosity,
balance? Okay.
right? Not trying to stifle their curiosity because, there's this clinical psychologist, Jordan Peterson, that suggests that if you see a child doing something dangerous well, don't stop the child from doing it. Allow the child to, climb as long as he's doing it well, and then protect when you know that the child is going into certain danger, because it builds character, it builds problem solving skills, analytics, and all that. At what point is that divide, between stifling curiosity and then ensuring that they are safe? Is it an age thing? Is it tactically?
If we have to deliberate that, I think there'll be no exact end to that because there's no one size fits all solution to that. It's more like we have everyone's different. We have different kids with different personality types, and you want to take that into consideration because if you'd have to use the style for child A on child B, I think you wouldn't have the same results. I mean, there are kids that read your communication style differently. So I feel like you have to understand the child first. What kind of child is this person? Is it a child that is? I mean, there's some kids that wouldn't like it when you try to shout at them. Some kids actually are quite like the opposite of the normal kids. There are kids you shout at and they do that bad thing more. There are kids you beat and they do that bad stuff even more. And there are kids you beat and then it goes in. So I think you take it from you look into the past and see how things have worked with the kids. If it's a kind of child that takes in discipline when you talk to them, I think the best thing is to start off from that point, talking to the child. But if it's a child that actually requires a hard hand, then I think you need to go a bit hard, and that could mean being a lot more restrictive. You might have to use a high tone of voice to help them see the point. So I think it all boils down to the personality type of the child. Some people are more emotional, and some are less emotional. So you want to take all of that into consideration because in the end, the goal is to communicate with the child. And if that communication is not successful, then all effort will go in vain. So the point is how you communicate and what are the communication styles that work with the kid. So there is no one way that works for all children, but you need to find what works for that child. Not saying that this allows for, it's more like a trial and error thing. So even parents gets to learn what really works after they try style A and it doesn't work, they go to plan B, they go to plan C. So it's more like it all builds on communication and different styles of communication. Before you get to be restrictive, I think you need to start you have to start from a certain tender stage or level to actually see how you can tackle the issue before you get to be a little bit hard on the child. When you see that the tender method isn't working, I think that's when you have to take some more drastic steps, like being a little bit more restrictive on how much time the child spends on his or her device. There's some kids that wouldn't have an issue if you should give them the freedom to decide how much time to spend on the device because they have good understanding of what they're meant to do with their time. But if you have a child, I mean, that is lost in the social media mania, I think you then have to really put some serious measures into the work. So there is no exact line, but it all boils down to trying different communication styles to know exactly which works for that child. I think that's more like it.
I really like the bit you said about not stifling a child's curiosity because my siblings, my sister, for example, she's a should I call her a curious cat? She's very curious. And this morning before I left the house, she was asking me, "Oh, Sachimla, what's Chat GPT?" And I was like, oh God, this girl again. Because I was actually trying to work on trends and she kept on she won't stop. She doesn't have any. She just keeps on asking, asking, asking. And then if you give her one straight answer, she finds a way to come in again and ask another funny question. And then, okay, Fahima, to explain what's this thing to you, let's ask the chat GPT. So chat GPT, what are you? Explain to a 10-year-old kid. And then I pumped it in and then she's sort of like, oh wow. Oh wow! I actually have a debate, and I want to. And then she goes, and then she's a very curious person, and I've come to understand her that we're sort of emotional, I and her, and I don't think I'm even as curious as she is, So, do you want to add to that? No,
I,
not to what I said. I mean to the
I
question
think I
someone been
think you're
saying.
curious.
I am.
Mm.
Flips hair.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay. So we've talked about how what parents can do to this, but I also feel like because if home is the first place that a kid will learn these things, and then after home, it proceeds to the school, and I feel like the school should also have a role. So what role would school or can schools have in teaching children about internet safety?
Yeah, when it comes to when you're talking about a child's build up, it all boils down to the different aspects of the child's background.
I would always start from the home. Um, David is very right. No two children are the same.
At I
Okay.
completely
One
agree.
person is curious, the other person is emotional. If you use a certain tactic with the person that is emotional, right, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't use the appropriate tactic with the other child,
Mm.
you immediately start to breed resentments that you don't even know about, right? And
Mm.
I'll give you an example. I have a friend that has a daughter from the age of 4 or 5. He's telling me, while we're hanging out, that look, at the age of 4 or 5, I tell my daughter, the only person that you can sit on his lap that is a man is daddy. You cannot sit down on uncle's lap. You cannot sit down on my friend's lap. You cannot sit down anybody's lap,
Mm-hmm.
right? Apart from daddy. Whenever you come back from school, let mommy have your phone, right?
Yeah.
Go out, so that now he started to do more outdoorsy things with his kids
Huh.
because the kids are no longer, face down in their phones,
Yeah.
right? But the thing too is these predators are smart too,
Yeah.
and if you're not very intentional, because I'm saying this because, hey, I don't have a child. I will have a child, but I I, I think about it and I know that I would do my best not to restrict, but I don't know if because in trying to not stifle curiosity and their natural inclination to just want to know how things work generally,
Yes.
the world is not particularly as safe as it was
Used
when
to
I was
be.
their age,
Yeah.
right? So I think not just at home, but also in schools, their circle of friends,
Are
because
they
once
keep?
they get to a certain age, there's nothing you can do anymore as a parent, right?
Mm.
Once they get into that
Or there are
teenage
limited
years,
things you can do.
yeah, I think studies suggest that it's from the age of 14, 15 is when you really have a real hold, as parents on the kids. After that, it's society, it's their friends, their peer
Yes.
groups, and they literally have to start learning how
Um.
life is, on their own. But I think in those ages, those that 4, 6, 8, where they are really susceptible to any kind of manipulation or, I think control measures would help. Take away their phones for a couple of hours a day. Let them
Mm.
go into karate fighting. Let them do ballet. Let them do swimming. Let them play
Yes.
football. Let them take their minds away from digital. They're born in digital. It's who they are. But
Mm.
for those formative years, I think, as the parents that I would try and put some controls along the lines
Along
of
the
the kind,
line.
the things that they have access to.
Right. So you mentioned something about predators also getting smart
Hmm.
as well.
Hmm.
And kids sometimes they can be really outspoken, sometimes they're very, very threatened, they would be meek about it.
Hmm.
So what signs do you think people should look out for, behaviors that may indicate that a child is being targeted by an online predator? Because, like I said again, you said they are actually pretty smart, so they always have a way around this kind of things.
Yeah, I have opinions, but I'm really curious to hear what David has to say.
All
It's
right.
it's a nice conversation.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to these predators, they can be just anybody. I think these predators can just be anybody, and they can come in just they can come in different styles. So we have predators who are old people, and sometimes they mask themselves as kids, teenagers, or people of the same age with these kids. Sometimes they're actually young adults, sometimes they're actually teenagers as well. But in all, what we just want to know is that these people are those who do not have the best interest of these kids at heart, and the idea is just to exploit them. So I feel like some of them are they they uh, they don't come in most cases. They don't come openly. In most cases they don't come openly because they try to understand the susceptibility of the child before knowing how to exploit the child. So maybe they go on the child's feed on social media, and maybe they see that this is a spoiled child. It's a child that loves maybe that loves explicit stuff, explicit content. Then they know how to come across because they understand that they could be on the same page, so they could be really direct in that case. But when they see that this is a child that is naive but maybe curious, then they try to come as a friend, and they try to start with little talks, and from there they progress to, do you like this? How do you see this? What about this? So they come as nice people, especially when the child has maybe the vulnerability of maybe looking for a friend or being bored. They try to use these different forms of vulnerability to exploit the child, and the child starts to think that he's got a friend or she's got a friend, but then in no time, the child gets to see
I
that.
think it's pertinent to parents is the style at which they communicate. I don't think we've really talked about that,
Yeah.
deep enough because I know as a child, whenever I had issues, my dad was a disciplinarian. My mom was more liberal. However, she was also a disciplinarian.
Mm.
So in situations where either I got into trouble or something negative was in my life, I tend to be too afraid to ask anybody, because of the reprisal that may come from it.
Mm-hmm.
So the question now is, how do you manage that water in such a way that you can have an open an honest conversation continually
Yeah.
with your child in
How do
such
you
a way
even?
that whenever they feel threatened, whenever they are feeling depression, it won't blindside you. They would
Yes.
always come to you first, And I think from there, because again, I'm a big believer in, if you train them right, when they go out, they have some semblance of what the world is like, and then it will help
Mm.
in some degree to the kind of decisions that they make. Yeah, I still think it's the parents' duty
Yeah.
lots of the time to
Lots of the time
start
it
that
is.
communication with them.
Yeah. Now to fall back on what you said now, how can parents initiate these sorts of conversations such that it is easier for the kids to come and meet you to talk about these things in a non-fearful manner? I like to say that I think it's something I've come to be aware of. When I was much younger, I was very harsh. I was very, very harsh. Any small thing like this, how I've landed slap on my younger one's face. And as I've grown up, I've come to realize that it's not the way. I actually took a class on it, on no, no, not child predating, but I took a class on how to relate with kids and how to speak to them because I don't know where it's spurred from. I just felt like I don't think I should be beating them every time. I want to rather learn how to speak to them so that they're in turn free to speak to me. So I took a class on it and I I I would say greatly that I've been learning tremendously on it because the kind of conversations that my sister have or the kind of bond that we have now, we didn't have it then. She's comfortable. We give ourselves kisses a lot. And she's always all over me. And she feels very free to have a kind of to talk to me. But I mean, hopefully, nothing has happened to her that she's come. Well, I've told her, see, if anything happens to you in this place, come to meet me first. If anything happens of this sort, and that's because I've opened a sort of open line or conversation line where she can freely speak to me without fear. So how do parents initiate this kind of conversations?
I'll give you an example.
Mm, I
A
love
friend of mine
examples.
told me once that it's you need to be very intentional about raising a family. You need to
Yeah.
study. Once you are there, you would understand.
Yes.
Hmm. He also told me one time that he was having a barbecue in his house,
Mm,
and the daughter came up to him and said, "Oh my!" Well, of course, the daughter is older now.
yeah.
He's just trying to buttress the kind of relationship that he has
We
with
had.
with his daughter.
Yeah.
But while he was having a barbecue, the boyfriend came, and then he found that his daughter and the boyfriend were not around over a period of time, and then he went into the house and he heard what he heard.
Oops.
And now, this I'm coming from a generation where if I tried that,
You go
you know,
collect.
I'll probably be a mechanic somewhere. But he said, in as much as he was thrown aback, he had to realize that, okay, my daughter is really growing up. There's nothing I can do about this now. I still cringe when he was telling me because I'm like, wow, to have that kind of conversation with your kid,
Mm-hmm.
she like really trusts you
Yes.
for you to be open enough to, have that kind of conversation. But I think
Mm-hmm.
these guys came from you, you
Yeah.
are the first and sometimes the only shield that they have in the world that we live in. So I would always, I think, read as much as you can, learn from people that are doing it right,
Take
be very
classes.
intentional because, you have them today and one day they're gone and then they're in the world. I
Yeah.
mean, we all know what's going on in social media now with the likes of Mobile and all that stuff, but
Yes.
these
Yes.
predators are real.
Mm-hmm.
These
Very
guys
much.
could be anywhere, so really being intentional about having conversations with your kid as early as possible and, not to stifle their curiosity, but literally begin open their eyes a
To
little to things
things
that are pertinent to this
to
time.
them. Yeah.
In my time, it wasn't particularly necessary because I lived in come back from school, I'm indoors, I'm
Yes.
not going anywhere. The only time I go out is maybe on Saturdays and Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
But now with your phone, you can go anywhere,
Yeah. You can go anywhere.
right?
Literally
So
anywhere.
that communication really needs to be there, and you need to also be intentional, like David said, to the EQ of your child. Right, one might be stronger than the other. The other one might be more talkative than the other. You
Mm.
really need to formulate a strategy to find that communication, that bridge
Yeah.
with them before they start to make their own choices.
Decision. So I don't think David heard my question. I was asking how parents can initiate conversations about internet safety with their children in a non-fearful manner.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I mean, that is something that has to start out as casual. You don't want to approach your child in a way that looks like it's a class. I think you could just maybe take a walk with the child, or have maybe a recreational time with the child. Maybe take a walk, or go to an eatery, just something fun. I mean, let the child feel at ease, like he or she is with a friend. I mean, that's the best way to get started. And then you can start talking about regular stuff. Talk about stuff that concerns the child, like how was your day? How was school today? Did you have any issues at school today? When you get that way, it's more like you trying to show some genuine concern about the child's welfare. And when you go that way, you can gradually move, build on that towards the main topic that you have in mind to discuss with the child. I often find that most African parents, they try to, they try as much as they can to have these kind of conversations, but they still fail. And I think a big part of that comes with with how they get to react when they find out that the child is doing something that maybe they never expected the child to do. So maybe you're having a conversation with your child, and then you realize that your child has maybe a boyfriend, or maybe your child is maybe watching pornography, or is doing something that you never expected the child to do. How do you get to react? You started out casually. You made it a fun conversation. So I think the best way to go is to take it that way. Let it continue as a fun conversation. Don't just switch the mood, because if you do, I mean, that's just you cracking, you taking it down. You're making it go really bad. So I think parents need to learn to have more control. It's maybe difficult to control your reaction at that point, but the best thing is have more control, and then try to still talk in a tone that shows that you're friendly and that you understand. I find that it's often better when parents try to relate with the child on the same level. Like, when I was your age, I faced this and this so and so issue. I had this problem as well. This was my weakness, and this is what happened to me. I mean, if your child maybe does something quite close to what you've done in your life before, I think that's the perfect way to reach the child's heart. Tell them about your own experience. Tell them about how you had to struggle with that situation. Tell them about the outcome of your mistakes. And when the child gets to see your mistakes, the child will understand that you really mean to help the child. And I think that's where he or she opens up better to understand what you're trying to say about that danger that is ahead of the child. And sometimes parents don't get to react immediately, but I find some parents attack their kids with these issues. Maybe at some latter time they tell the child, "That's why you did this thing. That's why you did that thing. You are a prostitute, or you are a bad child. You're a thief." If a child tries to confide in you, never try to use that confidential information against the child, because the moment you do that, the child would never would never trust you again with another confidential information. So never try to use the confidential information against the child, directly or indirectly. If you try to do that, then the child will get to feel uncomfortable, and at some later time in his or her life, he may never confide in you about anything that is sensitive. So I think parents need to be a little bit uh, more careful with how they get across when they get to find out that their child does something that is a little bit disturbing to hear.
You know the bits about telling children about your story and outcomes. I have a different POV. So when I was younger, my mouth was sharp. I like to talk. If you tell me one thing, I'll tell people. So I can't imagine, okay, because yeah, at least in my small time on earth, I've been through, I've seen stuffs. So, and then I feel like, okay, my sister is going towards this direction. I want to tell her to be careful. But if I tell her, she can't tell her friends, and her friends will tell their mommy at home, and then I become topic of discussion in their house. She get where I'm coming from. So how do we tell them to shut up? Okay, I'm telling you, but it's just for your ear. I don't think you go and tell your friend, though. Do you understand? Do you get my point?
You can't stop that.
Then I will not tell them.
You have to be intentional in telling them.
Then they will spread my secret outside.
It's better they're safe than you.
And my secret should be outside.
What is the secret that you cannot handle? You're the adult now.
Well,
David, are you siding with Zoro on
yeah,
this?
I feel like it has a lot to do with the communication background. What is the communication background? What is the communication dynamics between you and your sibling?
One thing that we all need to realize is it's your family.
Mm.
What other people tell your family matters. Now the question is, do you want them, outside forces to be able to have more weight on your family than you? These are
Mm-hmm.
questions that I would typically ask myself. So maybe if this style is not working, like David said, I would leverage another style entirely. But for me to say, okay, because I'm afraid of the reprisal because of their friends and what their family is going to say, no. I mean, after 2 weeks, I mean, nobody remembers, but they would still be your family. And if you don't correct them, I have this principle, right? I try to teach you twice, and then you figure out on the third one, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first time, I would do my best,
Yeah.
to, like David said, bring you close, take you out, have the conversation around, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it escalates where you want to, I will now show you. Maybe the next tranche is I start to show you the consequences of what you're doing or the path that you're facing or
Mm-hmm.
someone's story that you can allude to
Yeah.
because whether you like it or not, this is your family.
Yeah.
It's your family. Anything if they get missing, they will cry, but they will not cry as much as you.
Yeah.
If anything happens to them, it's just a conversation that they will have, but you'll be stuck with the guilt.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important again, that maybe be intentional about the style, the tonality, try not to overreact. Maybe if you've had a bad day, wait out till you are calm before you have a conversation with them.
You
Because
don't transfer
like David said,
aggression.
it's very true. I'm a quiet person, right? And growing
Are
up,
you?
yes, I
Mm.
am. Growing up, I had an elder brother that was way older than me,
Okay.
right? So anytime I got into trouble, they would train him,
Yeah.
they would beat him up, and then he would come back and beat me up. you know,
Oh
so that was how
no.
I learned. And but the thing now is, I'd learned at an early age now to handle my own problems,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it was good or bad, because I mean I could have gone a certain way or this other way,
Yeah.
So it's like David said, it's pertinent, in the style at which you inform these kids about
These
the
things.
yeah the
Okay. I was going to ask that, are there any specific platforms online that parents should be really vigilant about as regards to apps that the kids use, that children use? Say you have a kid, what app would you be really wary about, vigilant about rather?
No, I don't have a kid, but I think if we're talking about these apps, there are just so many of them, and most of these apps get to the kids through their friends, and sometimes through the these different predators that they get to meet online, and some of them come through third-party apps, especially when you see maybe on a social media platform or maybe a website, it asks that you accept the cookies, and when the kids get to accept the cookies, the information is taken. The information from how they navigate their device is taken, and then we have some of these malicious agents that try to exploit this data and use it to, send some bad ads to the kids, like some porn or explicit ads to the kids. So it still boils down to, you can't really narrow it down to specific apps, but it boils down to control. So you have to talk with the kids and let them understand that these are the dangers online and there are consequences. These are the consequences. I may not always be with you to tell you how to, control your device, because I'm not meant to have full control over that. But this is what you should know about the controls. The controls will help you prevent this kind of problems and those kind of problems. Malicious actors that may come through third-party apps or through some bad sites. So if you help the child to understand the controls that are being put in place and how he uses his device or her device, I think that will help to curb the exposure of the child to these different applications that would lead the child to doing something that he or she shouldn't be doing online. So it's more about helping the child to understand that there are controls and then putting those controls in place. It should be a mutual understanding between you and the child. I mean, that's how you get things together in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Zora, do you have any? Because me, I have.
No, no, you wouldn't even know them because they tend to share these sites amongst themselves. Um, I alluded David. There's only so much that you know. Believe me. There's a reason why the younger generation is smarter than us. They find things quicker. They have access to more stuff, and they are also digital natives, right?
Mm,
So control,
yeah, I think.
control, control,
Um,
control, till they get to the point where they can decide for themselves.
yeah, I remember when I was speaking to my mom's, like I think it was last month or early this month, I don't know. And there's this video. It's in the voice record icon down there. I knew that there was an update on WhatsApp, but I didn't know that it was there already. And it was through my younger sister that I knew that. Oh, so I could do this thing. So yeah, they actually find things faster. But
Much.
apps that I would really be vigilant of is would be Snapchat and TikTok, because they copy a lot and it's easier for them to have self-esteem issues, because Snapchat has a lot of filters, and if a kid has skin defects or skin issues, they run to Snapchat to use the filters and stuff. I'm glad that those filters didn't really get to me, because I've always been confident in my skin from the very no, I wasn't before, but now I am. But now I am. So I rather take pictures on Snapchat without the filter than with the filter. But I noticed that whenever my siblings go to my phone, they go to the filter. One of them goes for the one with smooth face, because she doesn't have much of a smooth face, while my other sister goes there for to explore the funny filters that are there. And then TikTok, because that app is really addictive,
It's
they
called
want
TikTok
to
for a reason.
they want to copy a lot of things that are going on there. So I think the two apps that I'll be really vigilant would be Snapchat and TikTok. Yeah, for me. So
For me, it's more along the lines of sexual sites. You know,
I don't think you can really track that one, except they don't know how to delete it when they go there. Then you'd find it. Otherwise, I don't think there's a way to track or no, because they would always hide it to be.
because that's a very quick way for you know.
Then for them to get exposed, yes, yes. It's and I don't even leave them with my phone for so long. Why are you my phone? What are you doing there? I'll always attack. So I'll give them that. Why? What are you doing my phone? So yeah, basically that's it. And I think with that we've come to the end of the show. I think I really enjoy speaking with both of you.
Thank you
It's
very
been
much
really
for having us.
insightful. You did?
Mhm.
Oh, thank you. Flips
Not
hair
a
again.
problem. Making me blush and everything.
Oh. David, thank you so much for coming. It's been really lovely having you here. So to everyone, If you have comments, DBA underscore podcast is the name. Please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And we have come to the end of the show. Let the weekend begin. Bye, guys.
Bye.